Alright guys, I really try to make the collateral damage RACKAM work, but it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. Like every time I try to use it, the boss just move out of the way, and just so many silly things happening, and the risk is way too high. And I try to run it in. I mean, I guess in some missions that's doable, but when it happens to way later bosses, it doesn't feel good. So around that time, I decided to check out some of these other traits, and Coffin Maker seems to be very silly. Definitely definitely not the strongest ability in the sea, but it's incredibly lazy, and lazy is what I'm looking for. So basically, you're just going to stand there, pressing one single button, and fire away as much as you want. And as long your heat gauge doesn't drop below to 0, your Coffin Maker gonna keep firing, and that's a good thing about it. So yeah, the thing is that in terms of gear, I just went for as much HP as possible. I didn't use Defender Weapon because I wanna go with Ascension Weapon. Even without Defender Weapon, your HP can still shoot up to some pretty good numbers, and with Ascension, at least you have a little bit more damage. Over here, you have a supplementary damage and everything like that. So very typical sigils. You maximize your you try to maximize your damage cap with those basic sigils as much as possible. And then you try to add in as much of the defensive sigils as much as possible as well to increase your HP. No hero specific sigils, mainly because it doesn't really help that much. I don't think I rather have more sigils that help with survivability or a little bit of damage cap. And I mean, of course, other people have different ideas on how to run this, so of course, leave a comment and I will check it out as well. And of course, I'm not saying that I'm gonna get this right 100%, but this at least when I'm testing this in different bosses. I mean, there's only a lot of bosses that doesn't really work well. For example, Lucilius, because you don't want to get hit at all. This one you mainly want to tank as much as you want. So Beelzebub is okay until he does the seals thing, and that just automatically grabs you. The world is actually pretty good. Proto Bahamut is pretty good, and I think, well, the last one, I can't even pronounce the name, but the last boss, I don't think the DPS check is there to actually do it unless you have a competent team as well. But I mean, your DPS, the thing is that it's all about DPS. This is definitely not a burst damage. It is a constant string of damage, and you can keep up, but you don't expect to be extremely high. Anyway, so I win with, of course, some of these are part of my summons, and Celestial Lumen. Basically, you do try to maximize your damage cap as much as possible, right? Your damage cap, your supplementary damage as much as possible, your Berserker Echo, Spartan Echo, Fate Breakers, the War Elementals. And in terms of defensives, I try to go with Regen and Divergence. And these two together basically recovers at around 30k per tick. Current, the 500, almost 550k HP here. And Drain, I tried to test it out with Drain and Uplift. I think it's up to you. If your friend, well, I suggest you play this with friend, because yeah, you definitely wouldn't. You probably want to contribute a little bit more in public lobbies, but with friend, you probably have a little bit more leeway here. Drain is there to recover HP from damage. This one actually works better than I thought. But if your SBA gaining, it's not, let's say, matching your teams, you can't go with Uplift. Surprisingly, you gain SBA extremely fast. Ages from Rhinestone and also from Sigils as well. I would suggest having a little bit of, just max this out using Rhinestones. And I'm currently using the critical ones because I don't want to waste my standard one with this just on something this silly. But yeah, but you still want to have a maximized Aegis here for that 80% max HP. Same as Greater Aegis and Garrison together with Stronghold provides you enough defense just to tank almost everything while waiting for Regen and Divergence kick in. You don't want to keep taking consistent damage. There are a couple of moves that does that. For example, The world has the punching the ground one, and you don't want to stand in that for sure. And also burns. You will try to move out of this way. There are a couple ways to recover your, there are a couple ways to recover your cooldown, So you can actually stop shooting. You don't have to constantly shooting, and you do want to take defensive measures when possible. And Steel Nerves, you can see that there's no Stealth Heart, because RACKAM do have a way to gain Stealth Heart when possible. Yeah, you don't see any, of course you don't see any potion hoarders, auto revive, or guts. So you're just gonna have to face tank everything, because we are just wanted to stand there and keep shooting non-stop. Other than that, we have our skills item, where is of course Coffin Maker, and then we are going for duration for a little bit of defensiveness. And this one, it's up to you. Honestly, the rest of them is up to you. I think the most important one is probably the Wild Gunsmoke. Why? Is because it instantly maxes out your heat gauge and stop from depleting. It helps recover from cooldowns. So even during the start of the match, you can just pop this one and instantly start firing with Coffin Maker. Or when this is on cooldown, you can pop this if it's not on cooldown, and then keep using your blast and just drop cooldown, so you can keep firing Coffin Maker after that. And this also, because of the trait that once you reach a max heat gauge, you gain Stealth Heart, which is very important as a defensive measure as well. Double tap help. When this is on cooldown, you want to use double tap to gain heat gauge as much as possible. Duration, just this one's basically anything you want at this point. You don't really need duration, but having it is not bad. You could go for a Spitfire just to help your team out, which is also viable. Other than that, for summons, it's very simple. Just skill damage cap up, and with Celestial Lumen, I got War Element over here. Spartan Echo, I wish I have a skill damage cap up. It's for this one as well, and damage cap just to maximize my damage cap out. For Master Trait, of course, you want to mainly focusing on the Expert Coffin Maker. And range increase penalty from fire beyond range decrease, and this one you probably don't need it too much. You can probably switch it out to this one instead, just to have a little bit more damage cap, but you don't really right click or using your special that much, so this one can be interchangeable, at least from what I feel. You have your damage cap, your defense. You want the heat gauge gain increase, and based on level, but you try to get to 6, right? You could actually go for this one, because there are times I'll be honest, you're probably gonna go for this one because against certain bosses you do get burned. I think there are a few bosses that inflict burn. Last boss for sure, the world for sure. I forgot if Beelzebub inflict burn or not, but yeah, having it doesn't really hurt, okay? Because anything else, it doesn't really matter because you're just reaching damage cap already. Unless these one calculate beyond damage cap, but other than that, you can go for this one. Of course, over here, Coffin Maker gain up to damage cap 100 based on heat gauge level. You're essentially, when you're fighting, you're essentially at 100% all the time, so which is really good. Damage cap, well, this one's more attack, and oh, this is the one. When heat gauge becomes full, RACKAM gains Stealth Heart. That's the one which you're looking out for the most. And it's kind of annoying that when you stop firing or your heat gauge depleted, you're gonna get knocked around a lot. So having Gunsmoke, it's also very important over here. Coffin Maker also gains max damage, dealt 55% range. Okay, that's pretty good. Grant additional 5% chance shorten RACKAM skill cooldowns, which is actually pretty good. This one helps with your just autos, and there's a it's actually really noticeable when you're actually playing with it. So I really liked it. But the most important one is probably the Stealth Heart over here. Of course, while Gunsmoke reduce a defense penalty by 10%, so you can take less damage when you're using it. Reduce heat depletion penalty by 10%. Oh, sorry, what calls over you? Good. Sorry. Durations also, I mean, to be fair, there isn't really much to take. You just want to take as much damage cap as possible over here. Yep, same as over here. And for this one, of course, you want for the defensiveness, and then you want go for some cooldown reductions, damage cap, skill damage cap, and I'll believe and your heat gauge gain over here, and of course more HP, damage cap over here, more gain over here, and more cap. Everything is capped, and the more important part is actually the it's actually the style 3, right? And when coffee maker instant, there's cooldown. Landing bullseye, a blast of 5, shorten coffee maker's cooldown by 30%. That's why you wanted to keep your gauge as high so you can blast this away. And you can actually just stop. That's why it's okay. It's okay to just stop shooting and take defensiveness if you really like. Because you have the ability, you do have the ability to shorten your cooldowns, so that's also really good. You can see I am only level 50. I didn't go through any breakthroughs because I'm it's just too silly. Okay, of course you can, if you want, you can boost this by a lot. I would say you can probably boost this by, I would roughly guess, maybe 10-20% more. I don't know. If someone do the math, but yeah. But if you want, you can also go into the breakthrough and just I mean, if you want to stand there even more, then please help yourself out. Other than that, masteries is basically the same. I'm thinking about what else is there to show here. I think that's all there is to it, right? I mean, there isn't really much. You just want to stand there and tank hits, or just flying away. You can just hold down one button, and while you're looking at, well, if you got 2 screens set up like me, then you can just look watching a YouTube or something, you know, answer. Well, you can probably answer emails too. You know what? If you really want, just put some weight on it. Put some weight on the button and just let it rip. Okay, just let it rip. And yeah, that's it. That's a little bit of a silliness. Hope you guys can see what happens during the gameplay, but try it out. It's kind of funny, but please do it with friends. All right.